Guys, it's me, Jana at Styles and Smiles Salon again. Sorry I didn't make a video on Saturday. It was my birthday, so I took the day off, and I haven't had time to do one since then. So, we're doing it here on Tuesday night because this is when I have a minute of quietness alone. But anyway, so this week I wanted to switch topics a little bit. We've been talking about shampoo and products and things like that. Now I want to talk to you a little bit about the haircut consultation and how to get the good haircut. One of the things that I stress with my girls is that the most important part of a haircut is the consultation. And so if you are going and you're saying, I just can't ever get a good haircut, and I don't know why nobody knows how to cut hair, because people see it all the time, that I don't know why nobody knows how to cut my hair, I just have difficult hair. It's the consultation, honestly, is like the most important part. So just knowing some of the verbiage, I guess, to use to get what you want, because we do try and read your mind, but we're not completely mind readers. So that's what the consultation is for. So before you start your haircut, before they even wash your hair, when it's all dry and just in its natural state, is when it's best to do the consult. So we can kind of see how your hair normally lays, how it fits around your face, and then it's easier to talk about where you want it. So you want to make sure that they're asking, not only like how much you want off, because obviously that's all you're going to tell. Usually that's what people say, I just want this much off. They end up not getting it. And for me, I never got like horrible haircuts in high school, but I didn't get what I wanted as far as like how the layers were blended, or they would part my hair differently or things like that. And so I'd end up going home and fixing it. And so it wasn't necessarily bad haircuts, but just not what I wanted. And if it's not what you want, then in your mind it was a bad haircut, right? So you want to make sure you're very specific about not just how much length you want off, but about the shape of the hair. And so some of the terms that you can use is if there's layers. Obviously, people have heard the term layers, but it can mean different things to different people. So when we refer to layers, we talk about, we're referring to a lot of different lengths in it. So usually with the long hair, it'll have a lot of layers. If you want it just so it's not blunt at the ends, but you don't want layers all throughout, then that's more of just what we call a taper. So if you want to just taper it at the ends, so maybe like just the last few inches down, that would just be more of a taper. And so if you're not wanting all the layers throughout and you're like, oh, she gave me short, choppy layers, then you asked for layers, that's what she's thinking that you mean. So make sure if you want it the long, or if you want just longer layers, maybe a little bit higher but not a lot, you can say I want some long layers, or if you want just taper, will just be at the ends. If you do especially a shorter haircut and you want a lot of fun layers, you can say I want it to be really texturized, and that's where maybe you can see the layers a little bit more, a lot more movement to it. So we use that term for, especially if you want it shorter in your shorter hair. So say if you want it texturized, that's where you see that lot of movement and maybe a little bit more visible rather than really blended layers. So make sure you specify if you want blended layers, where when you style your hair you don't necessarily see all the layers, but your hair lays really nice. So that would be more of the blended layers. If you want more of the texture where it has that fun flippies and things like that, then that's more of the textured layers. So make sure you use that term. And then make sure you specify around, especially if you have long hair, but even short hair, things like that, when you want it cut off, do you want it to be straight across the back, whether it's long or if it's short? If you want it to be straight or if you want it to be rounded up towards the face, that's something you want to make sure you specify as well. If you want it rounded around the face, or if you want more angled, almost that A-line. I mean, people usually know like what A-line is, where it angles towards the face, but if you're getting an A-line, make sure you specify how much of an angle, because A-line, there's a lot of variation in there as well. So if you're going in, you want an A-line bob. Well, an A-line bob can be anywhere from here to here to here, and it can be any kind of an angle from a slight A-line to like super dramatic A-line where you're here at the front and clear up here in the back. So make sure when you're getting an A-line or anything like that, that you specify what kind of an angle you want, where you want it to start in the back, where you want it to be hitting in the front. And that will help you to get a little bit more of an idea. If you bring in a picture, that can help. But even then, I've had people, they bring in like 4 or 5 different pictures saying, I kind of like this kind of a look, but they'll be totally different haircuts. And I'm like, okay, so let me try and pick out what I see that's similar in those. So even when you bring in a haircut, say, I like this haircut, but what is it? Make sure they're asking you, what is it you like about the haircut? Because a lot of times we say, I really like this haircut, but I don't want the bangs, and I want it a little bit longer, and I don't want the layers so choppy, or things like that. So it's like, okay, so what is it you really want? So if you bring in a picture, make sure you specify, I really like the texture of this hair with the layers that stick out, or I really like the way that her bangs swoop on this picture, or things like that. So make sure you try to be as specific as you can when you do bring in a picture, and make sure it's a haircut that seems like they have a similar hair type as your hair. So when you're going on Pinterest or just Google images or whatever, and you type in short haircuts or long haircuts or whatever, try and look for ones that are going to have a similar hair type as yours. So if you have the super straight hair like mine, like this is all my natural curl here, I'm not going to look at a picture where she has the all awesome soft beach waves, because I just don't do that. My hair doesn't do that. It's not going to work with my hair. Or, you know, if you have super duper fine hair, then you're not going to want to look at one that has a haircut where it's really full of body and really thick. So that kind of stuff, make sure you're looking at hair that seems like your same hair type. And then as far as layers goes, honestly, I recommend layers to everyone. So layers are really good for if you do have thick hair. It takes out a lot of the bulk so your hair lays nice. So especially if you have that long hair or even the short hair, you don't end up with a triangle head. If you have a lot of hair and you don't have any layering and it's pretty blunt, you're going to end up looking like a Christmas tree or like a dog with a poof of hair down here with big ears. So you want to make sure you're getting layering just to make it lay right. If you have curly hair, layers can really, really make your curls lay right. So make sure with curly hair, if you have curly hair, you don't want any corners. So look at haircuts that are going to be really, really soft, because all those curls that are round, you want the haircut to also be round. So you can do fun like A-lines, but you want to have it more of a softer, not the dramatic angled, cornered kind of cuts. So if you have curly hair, just look for those that have the softer corners. You want everything to be really rounded. It'll lay a lot nicer. But yeah, so if you have thick hair, obviously it's taking out the bulk. Curly hair, it makes the curls lay nicer, so they're not going to be poofy triangle hair. And even those that have fine hair, people think, oh, my hair's too fine, I can't do layers because it will take away too much hair. But honestly, even fine hair, if you have some good layers, it will give you body so that it doesn't look so limp and flat. And so even with fine and thin hair, you can really have layers that will really just give you body, and it will lighten up your hair. So with short hair, you know, it's going to give you more volume to take off the weight. Even with long hair, obviously with long hair, especially the extra long hair like mine or longer, you're not going to want to have short layers that are chin length layers, because if you start the layers there, by the time you get to the end of your hair, you're not going to have much left, and it's going to look way too fine at the bottom. So if you have the really long hair, you're going to want the longer layers, but you're going to really want some layers in that just so the hair does lay nice, so it doesn't look so just long and blunt and look like a little kid haircut that their mom just trimmed the ends, because with long hair and it just looks blunt along the bottom, it looks like your mom did it. Maybe your mom does do it, I don't know. But I had a lot of girls when I used to have a salon that was at a single girl apartment, and they had never had a professional haircut before. They'd always just had their mom do their hair, and they were all, like, so many of them so afraid to do layers. And it's one of those things that it just makes it look so much nicer and lay so much better. So go for layers. Try it out if you've never done it. Maybe try a little bit more, but use those terms of layers, tapering if you don't want a lot of layers, but at least at the ends you still want that. Textured, choppy layers or blended layers, things like that. Talk about the angles and the shape of the hair that you want, and hopefully that'll help you get a better haircut, whether it's here or somewhere else, but make sure you have a really good haircut consultation. So that's my tips for today on getting a better haircut, and hopefully it works out for you. This is Janet, Styles and Smiles. Come in and visit us, or make sure you do follow us, like our videos, And check us out and make sure you give us any feedback, or if you have any questions for future videos, we'd love to answer your questions. Thanks so much. See ya.